Hank McCoy is a hero who is sometimes overlooked when it comes to the X-Men team, despite him being a member of the superheroic mutant crew since their first issue in 1963. Why is this? Likely because although Beast is strong and dexterous with a genius intellect, the brain and the brawn, so to speak, his power set is also super confusing, conflicting, and has changed so frequently throughout his character development that it can be hard to fully follow depending on when you start reading about him. Today we're going to take a closer look at some of these odd changes to his character as we count down the top 10 dumbest superpowers you didn't know Beast has, or in some cases has had. If you love the blue bouncing Beast who tries to remain sweet despite his pull to the feral side, be sure to give this list a thumbs up. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Temperature resistance. The crazy thing about this power isn't so much that it exists, but that it appears to have always existed. Even before Beast had his iconic fur, he was resistant to cold. A fur coat makes sense for this, but his randomly being cold resistant doesn't really make a ton of sense without it. Although this is also back when Beast had an insane healing factor and could heal from almost any injury, similar to Wolverine or Deadpool. A temperature resistance makes sense for a furry character who would be insulated, or even a character who I guess is known for their endurance. However, the weird carryover of this power as Beast has changed over the time, from having a healing factor to a blue fur coat, is just kinda strange. Number 9. Magic. In the 2016 series of All New X-Men, we see Hank turn from scientific pursuits to those of a more magical variety. What makes this fairly silly is his sort of resentment and disbelief surrounding magic, as he specifically attempts to use magics himself. It was a weird exploration of his character when writers decided to incorporate a bit of magic into his world, as Hank has always been known as a man of books, and maybe of fantasy in a more romantic or literary sense, but certainly not in a magical superpower sense, so. Number 8. Handy feet. One of the powers that I've always found to be both silly and useful is Beast's enhanced dexterity. He can use this skill in combat to turn himself into a skilled acrobat, dodging blows, stealthily leaping across rooms, gracefully landing where he is needed, and helping in the fray to defeat the enemy. But he can also use this skill to perform mental tasks with his feet. Why? Well, usually because he's busy reading. He's used his feet to type, pour liquids out of beakers, and even once used them alone to fight as he was trying to read during the instigation. How one could truly focus on both I can't even comprehend. I guess because of his enhanced intellect? Or maybe he was just like me when I try to multitask while reading, and he's just like stuck reading the same sentence over and over and over without it sinking in. But maybe he just didn't want to admit that. So it looks like he's reading, but really he's just reading the same sentence. Number 7. Telepathic resistance. The weird thing about this power is that it never seems to be fully explained. Some mutants train to get this, and others just seem to possess a natural resistance to telepathy. Beast appears to fall more into the second category, cause you know, you can't be an X-Men unless you have some level of telepathic resistance. However, Beast's resistance to telepathy is kind of dumb because, well, he's not that great at it. It basically just means he is not openly vulnerable to telepathic influence, but when up against a powerful or potent telepath, or if someone can use his fears, like Cassandra Nova did against Beast, his resistance quickly breaks down. So this power is kind of a dumb one because it's just, well, it's not that useful. And after all, the X-Men are more often dealing with powerful telepaths than low-level ones, so. Number 6. Giant hands and feet. Originally Beast started out as a normal-ish looking man, simply having large hands and feet, which he was ridiculed for in school, so I guess it's not completely normal. Visibly, this appeared to be the only super thing about him. Granted, he was also super strong, super agile, and speedy at the time as well. He also had that advanced intellect that we love. But while looking mostly normal, this weird feature that seemed to come along with his mutation and powers was an odd one. Namely because other mutants with similar enhancements to speed and strength and agility don't really seem to share it. They don't really have like large hands or large feet. I know not all mutants are the same, trust me, do I know that, but still, it was a weird trait to give Beast, especially when you would expect someone with large hands and feet to be, more clumsy than dexterous. Yet Marvel decided to go the opposite way with it. Number 5. Doesn't need to sleep. Apparently having his form change from ape-like to more feline-like not only stole a digit from Beast's hands, but also changed his sleeping patterns. He mentions this during Astonishing X-Men Volume 1, Issue 25. The issue starts off with Beast singing, and we follow him until he runs into Xavier Institute student Armor, aka Hisako Ichiki. She reminds him of her threat to shave Japanese obscenities into his fur while he sleeps if she caught him singing again. again, which obviously she has. Hank answers the threat by sharing with Hisako that he no longer really needs more than 2 hours of sleep a night. What? This might be a useful one for being pulled into a fight in the middle of the night or needing to keep watch, but it also just seems like such a random superpower to have as a byproduct of an outward change of physical appearance. Yeah, that's right, Beast micronaps apparently. He's got some small sleeping skills. Strange. Especially considering many cats that I've interacted with seem to be pretty sleepy creatures, so this doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Number 4. Minor pheromone manipulation. Sometimes heroes have powers that we really get to see in action, and these are the powers that always blow me away. For Hank, one such power is his ability to secrete pheromones which make members of the opposite sex become attracted to him. While it has been mentioned in a copy of the official handbook of the Marvel Universe X-Men edition from 2004, we have yet to see Hank really utilize it. He has had a fairly active love life, and Abigail Brand, who has been a longtime love of his, has even expressed an interest in starting a family. But it's more likely that it is simply Beast's personality and soft blue fur that have caused women to just fall for him, not his use of pheromone power. Unless there's something we don't know, and Beast is maybe just like a master manipulator. He's just secreting pheromones all the time and that's why it all happens. Oh my goodness. I'm not ready for that revelation. It'd be weird. Number 3. Secondary mutation. This is apparently the power and ability that we have to blame, which has caused Hank so many changes over the years. He developed a secondary mutation as a result of consuming his serum, which he sought to protect from being stolen, and this caused him to mutate more, and caused him to enhance his mutation permanently. Long term, it is suspected that this has continued to affect the evolution of his mutation, causing him actually to also continue to change and awakening within Hank recessive genes in his DNA, which have caused him to revert to a more animal-like appearance. He's like a two-way evolution, embodying the strengths of those we evolved from and the advancements of the modern man, shown by his advanced intellect. This becomes in and of itself a little bit silly, though, when you realize that it means he went from ape to cat because of this. So I guess who knows where to next, because I would think, you know, maybe cat then ape. Ape is like all the way at the back, right? I don't know. Someone that studied evolution, let us know in the comments. Number 2. Claws and fangs. This addition to Beast's physique definitely makes sense as it came with the change of his appearance into a more beast-like and ape-like state. But it's still, it's kinda ridiculous. Mostly because Beast doesn't really use either of these things. The juxtaposition of his calm and curious nature with his beast-like physique and features makes a lot of Beast-related powers and assets feel kind of misplaced. Or I guess just wasted, because he doesn't really like to connect with them or utilize them that much. The same can be said about his long claws and features, which typically end up as just ornamental and used by writers to make Beast feel like even more of an outcast than he already does. Which is sad. I want him to just feel good about his appearance. I guess sometimes he does, but sometimes he doesn't. And he wants to cure himself, and I'm like, no, I'm conflicted. Number 1. Animal instinct. Hank might view this trait as a weakness, oddly enough, but I would argue that it's not a weakness because it makes him stronger. It makes him do things he would not normally think to do. It makes him hesitate less. He would likely be able to apprehend more villains than not, catching them off guard with his sheer strength and speed and focus. He also might kill them, but they'd be stopped at least. But Hank fears his animal side, which alienates him from it and causes any instincts he taps into to be rebuked as opposed to embraced. Really, I think he just needs to take a page out of Wolverine's book, tap into his instincts, and let go a little bit more. Facing his fears would only make him stronger, I think, and eventually give him more control over a power that could be better utilized. Thanks for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you enjoyed this list. What are some of your favorite powers of Beasts? What do you think is his most ridiculous ability? Do you prefer his blue fur, his gray fur, or non-fur self? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Superpowers that you didn't know Mystique had. Itachi Hayuga comments, apparently she has the ability to shapeshift her clothes as well. Indeed, she does. Isn't that a freaky fact? And how did she take them off in movies, right? We see her take them off and then they're there and it's like, is that her skin? What's happening? It's just really weird when you start to focus on it. Star says, a minor power she also has is being able to make pockets in her body to hold objects. That's a great point. Also, the idea of skin pockets, even if they look and feel like clothes, it kind of creeps me out. What if you forgot you had something in there, and then like while you shapeshifted, you accidentally took that thing into your body? I don't want pens like stuck in my thighs or my butt. That sounds gross and uncomfortable, and I always forget things in my pockets. I'm totally that person. I guess you could just shapeshift those things out, but I don't like it. Also, I love how all of your comments were just obsessed with her clothes creating power. Awesome. I'm glad that I could make you ponder that. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and words heard at the end of a future list. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube.